Dear ladies and gentlemen, I am Jubair Ahmed. Lovely to see you at night. Thank you so much for joining in the conference. Everyone has a voice. Tonight, I'll also be joined by Ms. Shukla Jadran, Afghan Youth Representative to the United Nations, Ms. Nitu Dabas, former Secretary, Delhi University Student Union, Assistant Professor, Delhi University and spokesperson of Bharatiya Janata Party (BJP). Barrister Mia Amir Hassan, spokesperson Pakistan People's Party, member Central Election Cell PPP, Pakistan People's Party. Barrister Mil Helal, member National Executive and Foreign Relations Committee, Bangladesh Nationalist Party. Mr. Muhammad Hussain Sharif, Vice President People's National Congress Maldives, senior international diplomat, foreign ambassador to Japan and Sri Lanka, former Minister, Republic of Maldives. Global policy in South Asia has emerged as a region of strategic international interest. The emergence of India as a major power in the near future and in 2050, China and India will be the two biggest economic powers in the world. The large countries like Pakistan and Bangladesh, with their big populations, can be significant players. Pakistan has a special role since she is also a nuclear power and has the capacity to weigh in on any new strategic rearrangement in South Asia. The center of global economic gravity is seemingly moving towards the Asia-Pacific zone. The Indo-centric geographic identity of South Asia is both a problem as well as a promise. Now polarization has changed the conventional sequence like Rohingya crisis for Bangladesh, India's border dispute, Pakistan's initiative for a new Muslim polarization, Nepal's voice in recent years against India, a complementary attitude of Sri Lanka towards China and India, Afghan peace process with Taliban, and Maldives harmonizing dealing among regional powers. In the first motion, I will request to my honorable guest to give an speech for 3 minutes heading to our title, The Contemporary Regional Politics and the Role of Thinking of Young Politicians. At first, I will cordially request to Mr. Barrister Mir Helal from Bangladesh. Please, it is your floor.
Thank you, Zubair. Thank you, our viewers and our honorable guests from Pakistan and Maldives. It's a pleasure to discuss our regional politics in this forum. I've done that before also. As you're saying, the global politics is taking a different shape altogether around the globe. And as such, in this region, the importance or the emergence of the Chinese influence is also increasing. And before it was mostly based on economy based influences or their activities we have noticed in the last few decades. But in the recent times, we are also sort of observing that they are taking a keen interest on the political scenario of this region as well. And they have been very proactive, to say the least, in determining a lot of things that have start off this conversation. And if you're thinking about it, and we discuss this as we go along the show, we all will hear what we have got to say. But the regional we had this we still have this forum. It's called the SARC for all the 7 nations that were involved in this. So I think it's time that we took forward and we work together sort of to enhance the socio-political and economical strength of this region, so that the world, besides America, China, and other forces that are playing a good role or trying to influence the world in their own ways, these South Asian countries, 7 of them, or if we need, we add more in this group, and we can, if you work together for a common purpose and a common goal to develop our countries and this region as a whole, maybe we can also be able to, we will also be able to influence or have some impact on the present global politics and the global political scenario and the socio-economic scenario. This is what I want to start off with. Let's hear all what all others say there.
Thank you very much. Now I would like to request Mr. Amir Hassan from Pakistan People's Party. Please give me 3 minutes. Please give your discussion on the heading of our program today. Mr. Amir Hassan, uh, most probably there is a poor internet connection there. So I would like to request Mr. Muhammad Hassan Sharif from Maldives. Please, it is your floor to deliver your speech.
Hello,
Yes,
can you hear
yes,
me?
yes.
Okay. My apologies. I will start again. Firstly, thank you very much for the invitation, and welcome all the distinguished friends from our neighbors. Um, while agreeing totally with Mr. Hilal and his initial observations, I'll try to carry on from there. Firstly, I too believe that we're in need of a change in mindset going forward as a region, as South Asia, whether it be SARC or in on a more bilateral platform. We have to change our mindset. Firstly, to take into consideration the changing world order at the moment, so that politically and socio-economically we are abreast with what's happening, globally. Over the years, we've been collaborating through SARC and other fora on more soft issues, I would say, things like cultural exchanges, soft diplomacy, etc. And taking a leaf from more established, I would say, and more successful regional organizations such as ASEAN and EU, we could consider looking at things like free trade, rooting terrorism, improving air links, and having a collective bargaining forum, in multilateral discussions. These are things that I think we can consider going forward, to make sure that we are actually doing justice and being relevant as far as the needs of our populations are concerned, particularly the younger populations. Now, of course, the Maldives and Sri Lanka have a special circumstance among the neighbors because we don't enjoy a land border with the rest of you. So there are certain challenges that we face at the moment, which probably cannot be related, in full by some of our neighbors, particularly because issues related to the security of the Indian Ocean tend to, come uh, come to our shoulders in a different shape and a different form. So, in short, initially, as this forum is important because it addresses young people, and South Asia has such a big youth bulge. So, going forward, I think we need a change in mindset to ensure that we're more relevant in addressing the needs of our people, and to ensure that our regional cooperation is evolving with the changing times, whether it is bilateral relations or dealing with the outside world. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Amir Hassan, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
yes,
Can I
it's your
start
floor
now?
and please start. Yes, exactly. Please
Thank
start.
you very much, Zubair Ahmed, and all my friends from different countries, neighboring countries. Uh, South Asia presents a vivid tapestry of human diversity in all its glory. And I think across its 8 countries, adherents of all the world's religions live side by side, speaking hundreds of languages, sharing deep cultural similarities, and celebrating their differences. South Asia's economies are powered by energetic young politicians, eager to embrace future's economic opportunities and conscious of their growing centrality to global geopolitical calculations. Whether the governments of South Asia countries are capable of delivering on this promise is another question, as each country faces serious policy and governance challenges that must be addressed by collective wisdom. We hope that our thinking sparks debate and discussions, both in the region and around the world, among all those who desire a peaceful and prosperous South Asia. The future of a quarter of the world's population depends on us asking the right question and working together to answer them as best we can. And I think the sixth International Conference on Contemporary Politics of South Asia and Thinking of Young Politicians, organized by your forum, South Asia Young Politicians Forum, is an attempt to explore alternative approaches to peace in South Asia, encourages people to people dialogue between academics, researchers, journalists, common men, intellectuals, and politicians. We should strive to promote the welfare of the people of South Asia, strengthen collective self reliance, promote active collaboration, and mutual assistance in various fields. Unfortunately, unfortunately, I'm saying this, uh, the experiences we have faced, that we have not emerged as a viable and an efficient regional bloc, such as the European Union and ASEAN, despite taking several initiatives in this regard. It has not achieved the desired objectives due to the hostility among the countries of South Asia. Moreover, the conflicting issues between South Asia and South Asian countries and the strict visa regime are important barriers to the enhancement of regional cooperation in South Asia. Due to geopolitical consideration, we have we need I think we have logged the successful functioning of SARC, which we formed in 1985, some 35 years back, and we have only 20 conferences. In spite of we could have managed 35 uh, conferences of SARC uh, or SARC summit. I think
Mr.
we
Hossein,
should.
uh, Yes, in our first motion, we have a very limited time. So
Okay, okay.
please.
I will conclude with two lines to bring peace in South Asia. That is very important thing, because if you want to make South Asia strong, and I think peace is brought up for. Can you hear me? I think there's a problem in the network. Am I audible to you?
Yes,
Can you
yes,
hear me?
Yeah,
carry
you're
on.
audible. We
Thank you.
just muted
Thank you.
ourselves so that we can
Thank you.
hear you clearly.
Okay, okay. I would like to conclude my words in the room is two lines. Don't regret what happened. If it's happened in the past, let it go. Don't even remember it. Protect yourself from your own thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you so much. In our second motion, I would like to request and I would like to draw the attention of Mr. Muhammad Hussain Sharif. Uh, Mr. Sharif, you have a long, illustrious diplomatic career and also the former minister, so you have better knowledge of South Asian diplomacy. How do you illustrate the regional politics? Secondly, our regional organization SARC seems being inactive. Nevertheless, we would not discuss bilateral disputes. Now, as a senior diplomat, what barriers are visible to you to active the SARC in full swing to dissolve misunderstanding, conflict, mistrust, land disputes, border killing, trade and finance, and cooperation gap, and overall restoring democracy and human rights in this region?
Okay, Mr. Jubair, that's a pertinent question and one I think that we have to actually address as a region before we can go forward. Because I've had the good fortune of actually being on the delegation to 5 SARC summits, and I can assure you, we go to each with high hopes. The Maldives definitely goes to the SARC summits in all seriousness to try and achieve objectives of greater cooperation, having binding agreements that would benefit most, if not all, the countries. But unfortunately, we keep being plagued, in my humble opinion, by two things. One is our issues that are bilateral. And we have a friend from Pakistan, and he knows very well what I'm talking about. And often the bilateral issues take precedent over the need for collective action. And not pointing fingers here, these serious issues that we're talking about. But the rest of us, the smaller members of SARC, do actually feel the frustration, and we try our level best to work around or to tiptoe around these very sensitive issues. At times, we've actually gone through a period when having a SARC summit itself was an achievement. As you know, we are long overdue the next conference, which should be happening in beautiful Pakistan. But of course, as the rules and the regulations of the SARC Charter uh, stipulate, we have to have the participation of all heads of state or government, all 8 countries. So until and unless that can be achieved, the actual conference cannot go ahead. So therein lies my second point, which is bureaucracy, red tape, and the actual organization itself, I think, needs to move, evolve. As you rightly pointed out, we formed SARC in '85, but in the 35 years since we formed the organization, the world has gone through a major transformation. And it appears at times to me that SARC is still stuck in the previous millennium, whereas today, in this day and age, there are very different issues that need to be addressed. There are very different expectations on the part of our peoples. And there is also growing frustration that we aren't able to overcome these challenges. So I honestly think that the way forward is for the younger generations to actually see the need to actually rebuild the organization from the ground up. Major changes, overhauls in the rules, procedures, the structure itself. If we are going to be taking a leaf from some other regional organizations, in particular from ASEAN, our neighbors to the southeast, and also from regional organizations such as the EU, where very serious issues, the type that you've just alluded to, Mr. Jubair, these issues form the very core of the organization. It's not lip service, it's not cultural exchange alone. I do agree that we are a diversity. I tell people that South Asia is a world. We've got the highest point in the world, the lowest point in the world. We've got so many religions, so many, people from so many backgrounds. And the real cliche here is that diversity is good, but diversity is only as good as we make it, we take advantage of it. So you have to also take into consideration uh, the subtle differences between our countries as well, in a positive manner. The difference in size, in population, economic realities, availability of resources, the different development paths that we've all taken, the military prowess of the different countries in our region. We, for example, don't even have an army. We actually have a paramilitary force, which basically goes through all the standard, parts of the armed forces. Whereas we have countries in the region who are nuclear powers, as you rightly pointed out. Historical realities of the countries are very different as well, and structures of systems of government, etc. So, just as we always highlight these similarities, knowing the differences themselves will go a long way to ensure that we each identify comparative advantages that we have, focus on those, seek partnerships not as an organization alone, but also bilaterally, depending on the issue, and also get over this. I honestly must say that there is a lot of paranoia, a lot of mistrust, unfortunately, that goes around, and a lot of it, in my experience, is down to the media. That is media in our region, how we depict each other. So therefore, if young people can play a role, they can actually play a huge role both in conventional media and in social media to try and better depict our beautiful countries, our peoples, our governance, even our individual political parties and what they stand for. And if we can do that, there'll be a lot more goodwill across the borders, and then the chances of meaningful change, I think, increases exponentially. I hope I've answered your question in some shape or form. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sharif. Thank you so much. Uh, Now I would like to welcome Ms. Shukla Jadran. So, Ms. Jadran, how are you?
Hello everyone. First of all, I apologize for being late. There was some technical issues with the link, and I couldn't join on time. And I'm really glad to be here with all of you. And thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Ms. Jadran. Ms. Jadran, it's up to you, and that you can give your lecture on our heading or title, the contemporary young politicians or regional politics, or I can ask you a question. Which one do you prefer?
I couldn't hear your questions. I
Okay,
don't know why there's internet
okay.
connection problem. You can Jubair Ahmed, can you please send me the questions in the chat box? And are you am I audible to all of you?
Yes,
Okay,
we can all
Miss
hear you.
Zadran,
We can hear you, ma'am. We can hear you fine.
okay, Miss Zadran, it's better. Just listen to me. Pakistan, Afghanistan shake hands as they aim to end mistrust. Islamabad and Kabul, which have often gone through periods of mistrust, call for a new era of bilateral relations. Pakistan and Afghanistan has reaffirmed their commitment to closer ties and the Afghan peace process. Mistrust. Why mistrust between these two countries? Oh, she's out of
Yeah, I think the connection has dropped out again.
Okay. Now I would like to request Bestamir Helal.
Yes, Zubair.
Yes, how Bangladesh is addressing the Rohingya crisis in regional forum. Although the crisis has got global look too, but the regional countries are almost silent in this regard. Why? Has Bangladesh lost her importance in regional politics?
See, Zubair, you brought up a very important and burning issue for Bangladesh, which has been so on for a very long time. And this is not the first time that there was Rohingya influx in Bangladesh. It happened before also. See, this time the difference was nothing visible or nothing proactive, no proactive steps were taken to address this issue. When I say this, I mean, see, it's a matter which concerns not only Myanmar, but it also concerns many other countries, sort of who are involved, sort of politically or theoretically. Say the Myanmar government, when the Rohingya influx happened, sort of they went on having dialogues with Bangladeshi counterpart, and we had this dialogue over and over again. But at the end of the day, what happened was nothing was done to address the situation. So they are here. There is no policy on how they would be sent back to their own country, and we cannot send them back if the situation is not unsafe. To ensure the safe return of their citizens to their country, no country came forward. So, from Bangladeshi perspective, I would say this is a failure on part of our diplomatic relationship with our countries, neighboring countries. That's in a sense that we could not involve them to assist us in this crisis. Rather, we have seen very differentiating opinions about that they should be staying in Bangladesh or whether they should be kicked out of Bangladesh. It's not a matter of letting them stay or kicking them out. That's not the right word. These people need to be settled. Their rights need to be settled, and their issues needs to be addressed. Bangladesh, being a country, has protected them before by giving them space in Bangladesh, a place to seek shelter. But you have to realize, if this problem is not the whole geopolitical, the borders, including our Cox's Bazar, the region that the most Rohingyas are based in there, the whole security of that whole region comes under scrutiny or comes under serious threat. So it's very frustrating from a Bangladeshi perspective that no one has taken any proactive measure to address this issue in this region. Rather, our neighbors who are also stakeholders in our countries in terms of investments and foreign investments and other relationships, they sort of has taken a back seat in addressing this issue, and they have left it solely to be a matter between Bangladesh and Myanmar, which is not. This is a global issue. These people, their genocide. I would say that there is genocide. That genocide has happened in that country, and this needs to be addressed not only by our neighbors, but I think this needs to be addressed by the UN and all other human rights bodies and all the associations that and all the countries that advocates human rights, the western countries and all other countries around the globe, the countries or the governments who are spokesmen for human rights, they should raise their voice and try to resolve this issue, because Bangladesh, being a developing country, cannot be burdened with a situation like this, because it's not a sustainable solution that keeping them and for indefinite period of time. So two things: that one, first we need to settle that when these people go back to their own country, their safety must be assured, and the process must be determined how to sort of repatriate them to their own country. And also, everyone involved in this region, say all the countries who are would be affected by this situation, to sit together and try to get both the parties and try to reach an understanding how to peacefully and amicably resolve this situation, because if it continues, it would really jeopardize the peace and harmony that's somewhat is existent in this part of the world.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Hilal. Thank you, Ms. Ms. Jadran. Is it clear to you? Can you hear me? Please, please unmute, please. Ms. Jadran, unmute, please. Then, yes,
Hello?
yes, yes.
Yes. Uh,
My question is
with
that
the
why
permission of
the
all of
mistrust
you,
between Islamabad and Kabul regarding peace process of Afghanistan?
with permission of all of you, I would like to
Yes, Ms. Jadran, yes, please.
We can
We're
hear
waiting
you.
for
You
you.
can go ahead. You're
Okay.
clear. Yeah.
So okay, I will talk because I can't hear this person's voice properly. So I would like to discuss the new bilateral relations that have been started between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Since a few days, it has been a very hot topic in Afghanistan, and people are discussing the meeting between Dr. Abdullah and the Mr. Qureshi all over the media, and somehow people are positive about it, because as you know that all Afghans are tired of this ongoing conflict and ongoing war, and they welcome each and every step and attempt which is being taken towards peace and reconciliation and ending this conflict and war. But as I'm following the meeting of Dr. Abdullah with Mr. Qureshi, and the whole trip of Dr. Abdullah to the Pakistan, it was as we know that Pakistan is a very main player in the peace negotiations of Afghanistan. From the first day till now, Pakistan has facilitated negotiations between America and between Taliban, and now he's playing a main role between Afghanistan and Taliban, and he is kind of playing a very efficient role in this peace negotiations, and in such a critical and important era of time, Dr. Abdullah went there. So overall, I think it's a positive attempt. It's a very good attempt for creating an environment and a bilateral relation with our neighborhood country. But considering the past few years, the interventions of Pakistan in Afghanistan's political environment and in other issues, I believe that words nowadays words really doesn't matter. Your actions will define your intentions, and your intentions will show that how much honest Pakistan is for Afghanistan, and till what extent this cordial relation will end. The other point is that unfortunately, I was expecting that Mr. Abdullah will discuss, or at least mention, the troubles that have been created by Pakistan in the so-called border of Duran. As we all know that Pakistan is attacking those provinces that are laying down in the so-called border. But unfortunately, Dr. Abdullah, I read his statement. He just mentioned that we will not allow any entity or any terrorist organization to function in our soil or use Afghan soil against other states. But he didn't mention about the horrible things that Pakistan did to Afghan people across the so-called border, and that somehow really disappointed me. While they are doing they have did missile attacks, rocket attacks, due to which many Afghan innocent civilians have been killed, have been paralyzed, have been injured. Their houses have been ruined, but none of them were mentioned by Dr. Abdullah. But overall, the concept of we should like Afghan government and politicians should consider that this kind of foreign policy should be like we need to decide very carefully. We need to create a balance in our relations. On the other hand, there is another neighborhood country, which is India, and it is a rival to Pakistan. So we need to be very, very careful. We are not in a situation to fully become friend with one country and fully ignore the our another neighbor country. That can create danger for us. We have experience
Thank
of
you.
those.
Thank you so much. Ms. Jardhan, thank
Yes.
you so much. I will back to you. Uh, now, I would like to got a request to Ms. Tamil Hussain. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, you can reply Ms. Jardhan's discussion because it's also related to Pakistan. But my question is that dynastic succession is still has a place in South Asian politics, and where you see the dynastic succession in future. Secondly, it is said that the India has a state that has an army, but in Pakistan the army has a state. Why?
Thank you very much. The first thing, uh, the conversation and the words by Ms. Zadran, I would like to say that Pakistan is the only country who has been bearing millions of Afghans for the last 41 years in Pakistan. The migrants after the Russian war and Afghan war, we have to receive them uh, as our guests in our land in Pakistan. And they have been living for the last 41 years. And Pakistan is the only country who supported Afghanistan on each and every time. So I think if the harsh word used by my friend from Afghanistan, and she mentioned two countries, India and Pakistan, and they are confused. My Afghan friends are confused. Home to make friends. So they are confused. They are still confused, I think. You have to look into the past and you have to decide which country has helped Afghanistan in the past. When you were in the bad time, there was India. And where were you all are living? And who was supporting you? So I think it's very, I don't want to, because we have decided that in SARC and in South Asia, we will not raise the issues, the hostility of two countries in a platform where we all are sitting, and we have to uh, look forward in the common things. So I don't want to make this conversation hard. So uh, I think uh, uh, try from yourself. You, the people of Afghanistan, has to decide their fate. You are the real power in Afghanistan. Your neighbors are not. as much powerful that they will decide your fate. You have to decide your fate. We are facilitating, as you said. Pakistan is always facilitating the dialogue. Pakistan is always facilitating, and we are raising your voice, your rights in the national, international fora. So I think, hope for the best. We are trying, and a stable Afghanistan is the need of Pakistan. We need stable, prosperous, peaceful Pakistan, Afghanistan. It will make Pakistan more prosperous and more peaceful.
May I have
And the thing you have to, uh, uh, yes, yes, if you want to talk, I have to
yes.
complete the questions raised by Mr. Zubair Ahmed about dynastic politics. I
I
would
just want
say
to
in
ask you,
Pakistan, it's
Mr.
yes, yes, please, please,
Okay,
please.
with all due respect, Mr. Ahmed, but I believe that when I'm talking about Pakistan, I don't mean to talk about people. I don't mean to talk about the government, the civil government. I'm talking about the ISI. I'm talking about the military controlled government who has been intervening in Afghanistan for decades. And you mentioned the bad situation and the help that Pakistan provide during our bad situation. Who created that bad situation in Afghanistan? Who was the cause of this bad situation in Afghanistan? Who was the who were supporting Mujahideen? Who has been supporting Taliban? Who has been supporting all those terrorist groups in Afghanistan? Please, let's be realistic. Let's accept our mistakes. Let's when you are shaking your hands with your neighbors, so let's be honest. Let's be realistic. Let's accept our mistakes. Otherwise, this kind of handshaking will not make any sense, because no one can deny that Afghanistan, all the miserable things that happen in Afghanistan since past 3 decades. Pakistan was the main player in this miserable things, due to whatever reasons that they have to themselves. But I don't want to get very much political. Otherwise, as you mentioned, the conversation will get harsh, and I don't want to make it harsh. But we can discuss this whole story in another platform, and I can speak to you in details that since the birth of Pakistan, Pakistan has been. When I'm saying Pakistan, I mean that military-based government, that they have been supporting extremists, terrorist groups, because without that they will not survive. They don't have anything to survive. They are playing. They are trying to kind of
May
playing
I please?
a game.
Yes,
So
Miss
they will
Jantan,
they will get
you
benefits
have
from
put your
Because I
point.
have
UAE. They will
Please,
already
get
listened a
benefits
lot
from
from the
they
lady,
will get benefits
but
from
please,
the
you have got
world.
your point. Please.
it's my right
We
now
have,
to answer her harsh words. The thing
Mr.
is,
Amir, we will answer
the
whenever we will get the floor. Please.
thank you
We
very
have
much.
another two guests here.
Well, thank you very much. If she is
Okay.
saying
Okay.
and
You,
she
of
is
course, you will get
ignorant
the
of
chance to
history,
reply. Of course, you will just get chance to reply. No.
okay, okay. If
Okay.
if she is so ignorant from the history, and she's saying that all miserable things happened in Afghanistan, that is due to Pakistan. What can I say?
Mr. Sharif, can you hear
Mullah,
me? Mr. Sharif, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
can
Mr.
I
Sharif,
continue?
yes. The grouping in regional politics, like BIMSTEC, that was being promoted
Can I
as the
answer my?
next star and a key component
Can I
of Mr.
complete?
Modi's Act East policy, but BIMSTEC has failed to deliver
Can you hear
meaningful
me,
results
Mr. Zubair?
despite considerable hype. Why such grouping is essential and how is it influencing the regional connectivity?
Can you hear
Mr.
me?
Jubair, I suggest we finish one topic and move on. Otherwise, I don't think it's going to be constructive. I think Mr. Ahmed would like to
Because
speak. May I hold on?
I want to reply the questions raised by Ms. Zadran. Would you please allow me, Mr. Zubair?
Yes, but in very short.
You have given a lot of time to her, and if you want to moderate in this manner, it's up to you. I will
Okay, carry
be
on, please.
silent, and I will be listening to you. If you want to accuse me and my country, it's up to you.
Okay, carry on, please.
Okay.
Carry
Okay.
on,
The
please.
thing if the miserable things happened in Afghanistan, and she's saying that it's due to Pakistan. Pakistan invited Russia to invade Afghanistan. Did Pakistan invite US? And if she's saying that terrorism, there was no terrorism in Pakistan before 1979. There was no extremism and terrorism in Pakistan. It was because of Afghan war. Millions of Afghanis have been living in Pakistan for last 41 years. And if you look into the matter, if you see who is responsible for extremism and terrorism in our motherland, I don't want to accuse the countries who are neighbors to us. We can't change our neighbors. We can change friends, but you can't change your neighbors. Afghanistan, we have tried our best for a prosperous, for a peaceful, for a strong political Afghanistan. And we have tried a lot that the people of Afghanistan should decide for a political government. But if there was a Mullah Umar, he was ruling Afghanistan, that miserable thing was happened because of Pakistan. Why Taliban were not ruling in Pakistan? If we were supporting Taliban, they should have ruled in Pakistan. They couldn't get a single seat in Pakistan. And we have been facing terrorism for the last 3 decades. So I think if you want to accuse your friendly friends, your neighbors, it's not the way to bring peace in South Asia, to bring peace in Afghanistan. And I think the people of Afghanistan, the youth of Afghanistan should decide now if you want to accuse your neighbors and if you want to utter the history which you like, you will get nothing. It will not help to make South Asia a peaceful territory. So I don't want to answer her questions in harsh words once again. If we have hostile relationship according to her, I don't think we have. And she was accusing ISI and army.
Mr.
Them to
Hassan.
meet with the
Mr.
ISI
Hassan.
officers, the political forces from Afghanistan. Why they were
Mr. Hassan.
making friends from ISI?
I
Operated
think
by
it would
General
be.
Hamid Gul and former ISI chief. Pakistan
Mr.
People's
Hassan,
Party
please.
has been struggling against those
Yes, you will
forces.
get another chance,
Why
Mr.
were they
Hassan.
playing as
Mr.
puppets
Hassan,
in their hands?
you will get another chance to reply
Mr. Hassan,
her.
I think
So
with
I
all
don't
due
want to
Miss
respect,
bring this
I
Jadran,
down.
request
Miss
you to
Jadran,
stop
To
us
discuss
advices.
Miss
bilateral
Jadran,
conflicts.
Stop
please.
giving us
So I am
advices. To
hopeful
stop
that
giving us
we will
advices.
talk.
We have gone know very well
Miss Jadran,
how to
please. Mr. Sharif,
control
you
our
have to start.
how
Mr.
to
Sharif, you have
control
to
our
start.
country, how to
Right
establish
now.
our relations with our
Mr. Sharif, have
neighbors.
you got my question?
But I think
I
you
heard
need
your question,
you
but
need to focus on
Okay,
your
please.
own country, on your own
Respect, please.
people. I
My
just want
sister,
to
you
say
are
that
ignorant of
stop
Mr.
history.
blaming
Sharif, respect, please.
You
People.
don't
Stop
know the
blaming
history.
Afghanistan.
So
You
the
and
things
your
you have
country
read in your
have
books, you have read in your books, the hatred against
you
Mr.
and
Pakistan,
your
Hassan, please,
and
country.
these
please,
books
you
are
will get another
created
Your
chance.
in last
government
10
has
years
provided
when
a
you are
safe haven
linked
for
with India.
terrorists, for
Where was
extremists,
India when you were in
for
trouble?
terrorist groups. You have been
Mr.
supporting
Hassan,
Taliban
Ms.
since
Jaddan,
their
You were
please.
not
young
you were
since
not
their young
supported by
ages.
India in your bad times. You are supported by India now.
Please, Mr. Sharif, start, please.
Thank you. Now you know how we feel at SAC summits. Because we say bye to all our dear friends. We understand that these are all you know these are issues that will always bring out emotions. There will be interpretations. We're all patriots. If you try to tell me, that I'm wrong, I'd obviously respond. So, I mean, now you know how we feel at SARC summits, where bilateral issues
That's
often
very good.
override the issue at hand. Before answering your question, with your permission, I'd like to interject to the comment by the honorable friend Barrister Helal on the Rohingya issue, because it's something that struck a chord with us as well in the Maldives. And it was during our government in 2017 and 18 when the issue, as you will recall, first flared up. And I just wanted to set the record straight that maybe you were referring to your immediate neighbors, but we definitely did our part. And we want to assure our Bangladeshi friends that we went out of the way to do our part on two fronts, and on the direct intervention of our president. Firstly, we were actually a member of the Human Rights Council at that time. And the records will show that we actually did present a motion. We lobbied on your behalf. We did so in New York as well. We're small, we understand, and what we do might not create the type of ripple that Bangladesh wanted. But we're very sympathetic to you on this issue. We felt, the difficulties. We understood the difficulties you were facing, and in fact, even record will show right now that the Maldives actually sent a very clear message out to Myanmar about our sentiments regarding how the Rohingya issue was being handled by that country and government. And we actually took the unilateral decision just to send out a very clear message by downgrading our bilateral relations with Myanmar and stopping all trade relations with Myanmar. And from that day onwards to this day, it stands. And that is something that we did to send out a clear message to them that we do not believe that international law is being followed in how they address this issue in 2017 and 18. So to all our friends from Bangladesh, we do sympathize with you and we stand with you on this issue. As for the specific question, Mr. Jubair, unfortunately, we are not party to any of the smaller intragovernmental arrangements in our region, including BIMSTEC. So I'm not really sure whether I am the authority to comment on it, because we do not have smaller subgrouping relationships with anyone in our region. We do have very good bilateral relations with all of you, but other than the broader SARC platform, we don't have any other avenues, whether it's economic, social, or political, or otherwise, to collaborate, on a smaller platform. But there is, of course, a need for that. In particular, as I pointed out initially, there is a very subtle difference between all 6 countries in SARC and us in Sri Lanka, simply because we don't have a land border with you. So just to clear the air a little bit, I just wanted to share a little bit of humor. The last SARC summit, one of the issues or one of the key agreements that was being discussed when we were in Nepal was an issue, was a proposal to have a SARC railway. Now, we and Sri Lanka actually did a lot of work to try and get all 8 nations to agree to this initiative. And that included Pakistan and India as well. And unfortunately, we didn't get to an agreement. But the point here is that we actually supported a SARC railway, knowing full well that a SARC railway will have no benefit to us or Sri Lanka, simply because, of course, we don't have land borders with the rest of our countries. But we just wanted to contribute in the spirit of cooperation. But unfortunately, as always, either red tape and bureaucracy or bilateral issues get in the way of moving forward. So honestly, Mr. Jubair, the questions for this forum, which I believe are more pertinent, are those that look forward rather than looking back, because we all have our issues, we all have our differences. But as I pointed out previously, there, if we are to actually make something out of this and have cooperation in the region in any shape or form, we should be looking forward and looking at ways that we can actually inculcate youth empowerment, particularly as this is what we are focusing on, to try and get the message across and to try and reduce these tensions and to inculcate better understanding. That is why I initially pointed out the need for the media to be very specific, even in bilateral issues. If the messaging out there is honest, is non-biased, I think you will find that there are a lot of people who are also interested not in these individual countries, but others in the region like us who wish everybody well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sharif. Mr. Amir Hassan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, Mr. Amir, recently Indian External Affairs Minister once again took him at Pakistan, indirectly holding the countries responsible for inadequate regional cooperation. Inadequate regional cooperation has been claimed by Indian External Minister. Here, Minister called upon SAARC member states to collectively resolve to defect the danger of terrorism, including the forces that nurture, support, and encourage an environment of terror and conflict. That means he has claimed that Pakistan is responsible for inadequate regional cooperation. Inadequate regional cooperation.
The thing is, Pakistan is not preparing or not want to be the superpower in the world. The country which is uh, so ambitious to be the next superpower, uh, that country uh, is not willing to make South Asia a strong region collectively. So we have no ambition for that. So we are not uh, uh, doing this. And Pakistan is a staunch supporter always to promote coordination and peace between the countries of South Asia. So I think the language used by the foreign external affairs minister of India, it's a routine matter for us now, because if you are uh, uh, using state terrorism in your country, and your writers and your intellectuals are writing articles in your newspapers, and you can see who is denying the rights of the millions of Kashmiris in Kashmir, and who are raising voice for them, the intellectuals, the human rights uh, activists in India. So I think if we want to make South Asia a strong region, I agree with Muhammad Hussain Sharif that we have to let go the past, and we have to, uh, if we want to resolve our differences, India and Pakistan has decided in similar agreement that we will resolve our bilateral issues on table, and we are ready to talk to India on any matter. So Pakistan is not reluctant to talk on peace. So we always, so if someone is saying we are producing terrorism, we are facing terrorism. Our leadership has given lives for that. My leader, the former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shaheed Mohtarma Benazir Bhutto, she gave her life against these terrorists. So, who are the people who are? Uh, uh, I want to say don't use these harsh words and strong words for your neighbors. And uh, uh, if you want peace in South Asia, you have to talk in a peaceful manner. And if you want to fight, you have your army and we have ours. We can decide in battlefield. But it's better to
If you
talk
want
in
peace
a
in South
peaceful manner, and Pakistan always wants peace. And if anyone wants a war, we are ready for that as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Ahmed, for an excellent reply against the External Minister of India. Ms. Jaddan, can you hear me? Ms. Jaddan, can you hear me? Ms. Jaddan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Ms. Jaddan,
Yes, I
my
can hear you.
yes,
So, may I talk?
yes, you can talk about the contribution of youth and women in Afghan peace process.
So, I would like to. I would like to. I would like to. I would like to say one final word to Mr. Amir Hassan.
No,
I
no,
would like to say
Ms.
that I
Jaddan,
didn't
please,
use
If you
any
if
harsh
you
please,
or
want
please,
to say
bad
just
words
give
to
something
my
you.
harsh,
I
give the
just
answer to my
you can
question.
talked
Please
about
don't,
the
please
you
reality.
can
I
convey
don't.
your
just
message to
speak
Dr.
out
Abdullah
about
Abdullah.
the
He
reality.
can
This is
convey
the
us.
reality, and
Don't
that's
use
what
this
I'm
Ms.
forum.
saying. That
Jaddan,
this producing this terrorists and extremists will harm
please, Ms.
the
Jaddan, please
Pakistani people, the
give,
Pakistan itself.
please go
So
to
we
your
need to
topic.
stop
Please
this.
go to your topic.
And I would like to discuss as Mr. Jubair instructed me in the chat box that talk about the youth and talk about the youth and women
Women
participation.
contribution in peace process in Afghanistan.
Talk about. May I?
Yes.
So I would like to talk about the women's and youth participation in the peace negotiations and peace process. As we know that unfortunately, from not from Taliban side, there is no quota, there is no chair, there is no inclusion for Afghan youth and especially Afghan women. From their sides, which is very disappointing, and and also from Afghan government side, that the team that they have introduced for this negotiations, it's not efficient. The quota and the participation of youth and women in that team is not sufficient. Like in political level, in governmental level, it's not well enough for us. But in local level, like local Afghan youth, they are very keen of participating and evaluating the whole process. For example, I have seen a very huge number of youth on social media, especially on Twitter. They have been advocating for their rights, for their demands, for their concerns, and they have been trying to put pressure on the Afghan government side and also on Taliban to maintain a transparent peace negotiations, to be accountable to not ignore the war victims in these peace negotiations, to not ignore women's rights and other social and humanitarian rights and other social liberties of Afghan nation. So that's what the Afghan youth have been trying so hard on social media and other platforms to advocate for transparent peace negotiations. Meanwhile, in communities, in their communities, I have talked and I have communicated with many young peace builders in their communities. They are trying to pave the way for those Taliban, for those young Taliban who have been involved in armed conflicts, who have been in war zones. They are trying to create an environment where peace, where real, inclusive, and long-lasting peace happens. But unfortunately, there's politics, and in politics you can't anticipate anything. You can't directly be involved in the process. But overall, people and women and youth, all of them
Ms.
are
Afghan, yes,
trying hard.
yes, we have got your point. Yes, it's very clear. Thank you so much. Uh, we are in our final motion, and this is the last. I would go to everyone for free speech actually, but I will give some keynotes or hints. In this way, the honorable speaker will speak for their final motion. Now, I'd like to request Mr. Mir Helal from Bangladesh. Mr. Mir Helal, dynastic succession is still has a place in South Asian politics, and where you see the dynastic succession in future.
Sorry, Zubair, can you repeat your question? You just broke in the
Yeah,
last bit.
of course. Dynastic succession is still has a place in South Asian politics, and where you see the dynastic succession in future.
Zubair, when we have a tendency of saying this for this region, but if you see, if someone is capable, even in the Western countries, fathers has been succeeded by their children, and I can give you a few examples. Say George Bush the Junior and the Senior, and then Justin Trudeau and his father, and there are many more. So the issue is whether the dynastic politics that is being put in those words, if the predecessor or is capable and the people are accepting them as the leaders, I don't see anything wrong in this. See, what happens is you have to realize this. My father was a lawyer to start off with. He's also a politician. See, when I was growing up as a child, it always intrigued me. His life his way of helping people by means of being a politician, and then as a profession, he was a lawyer. So I turned out to be a lawyer and a political activist in my life. It doesn't mean that I was provided the place or the position because of I was his son. It was not like this. It was because I have worked for almost 18 years to reach the position that I have reached today. So when we say that it keeps on coming in every program or every alternate program, people sort of try to put it in this subcontinent or in this South Asian region, dynastic politics is blooming, or it's sort of the implication is it's beyond control. I don't think of it that way. If anyone is capable, he or she should not be excluded because he or she belongs to or her or his father or his parents or his family has a political legacy. In fact, if I would say a person who has a political legacy behind him, and if he's also interested in politics and he's keen on in politics and state affairs, he has more benefit than other people because he has seen how it has worked, what has worked, and what has not worked, what has given success, and what has caused failure. So that is an experience that he or she has attained since childhood. Whether that person wants to utilize it for in future for the betterment of the country and the people, it remains a matter to be decided on the individual. But I would humbly disagree with the fact that dynastic politics is a word which is not really appropriate for capable and efficient people who turns out to be son or daughter or niece or nephew of a famous politician. So I think it what we should be looking into the fact is a lot of young people has taken interest in politics to work for the people, to work for the country. And I think we should encourage this, and there should be more and more capable, energetic, and dedicated and dynamic young
Thank you
people
so much.
coming into the political arena so that we can all work for not only a better country, but for a better world. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, this is my final motion to Mr. Amir. Mr. Amir, can you hear me? Mr. Amir Hassan.
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Yes, I can.
I hope you will speak very freely today in your last motion about the controversial issues how to resolve the conflict between India and Pakistan. Two countries are enemies for long. What happened since independence in 1947? The wars, the attacks, the mistrust, the animosity. Given all that, do you think that Pakistan and India can ever be friends?
I think I hope we should be good friends and good neighbors because we can't change our neighbors. The thing is, there were differences. That was a tragic time in 1947 when India was divided and Pakistan and Bangladesh got freedom from the British rule. After that, 1971 was a tragic time, but we have to forget the past, and we have to, if we want a bright future for our region, we have to forget. We have to forget the past, and Pakistan always uh, looking forward for a bright future. So, and I would like to say a few words on dynastic politics, Mr. Zubair Ahmed. The thing is, in every religion, the religions being followed in South Asia, if we are a Muslim, if we are Christians, if we are Hindus, the religions we are following, there is dynasty as well. All the prophets, they were the son and the father, son and the father. So the basic thing is, if dynasty is good, then it is useful for the people, for the land. And if there's a bad dynasty, we have to fight against that dynasty. The political party I am representing, that was formed by Shahid Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. He was the one who raised voice for the rights of the people. Who was the one who has given constitution to the Pakistani nation and given the right to vote. And he was hanged by the establishment in Pakistan. After his assassination, her daughter Benazir Bhutto struggled for 30 years, and she proved herself to be the leader and the first women prime minister of Islamic world. And now, my chairman Bilawal Bhutto is the torch bearer of that mission. So I think if you have a good dynasty, the dynasty who has been working for the rights of the people, then that dynasty should be appreciated and that dynasty should be given support because at the end, the people are the power to decide who will be the prime minister, who will be the president. So dynastic politics is not against democracy, because at the end the people has to decide their fate. So I think
Thank you so
if
much.
the dynasty
Mr.
is
Amir,
good,
I
it
have
should be
another question
continued.
to you. I have another question. Very recently, someone is trying to say that Pakistan has become the buffer state because of Indian-Chinese conflict. Do you think that?
I don't think so. The thing is, Pakistan always, we have very good friendly relation with China, and for the last 40, 50 years, 5 decades, and we want cordial relations with India as well, and it's up to India uh, if
Is
we
it
want.
becoming the buffer state because of this conflict? Someone is
No,
trying
no,
to
no,
say recently.
no. All statements are not
Acceptable.
important to respond all the time. I
Exactly.
think we are a
Thank you so
strong
much.
state. We are Pakistan, and we want peace in South Asia. There's no need to reply all the statements given by the people in different times. But I want to say, my sister from Afghanistan, please don't regret what happened. If it's in the past, let it go, please. Don't even remember it. And my sister, protect yourself from your own thoughts. Work for peace. Thank you very
Thank you so
much.
much. Thank you. Ms. Jaddan, this is the final motion. Just say something. I have no question to you. Very shortly. Ms. Jaddan, can you hear me? I have no question to you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think my words has hurted. My words have hurted a lot, Mr. Amir Hassan. He's constantly telling me what to do, what to say, what not to say. However, let's just come to the point that. I would like to say that, as all of you mentioned, that the South Asian region is a very crucial and a very important region. The politics in this region should be established based on the will of people, based on good intentions. Peace in Afghanistan is equal to peace in the Pakistan. It is equal to peace in the whole region. So all the countries, as I have always said, that the United States and international community should put efforts to create a regional consensus for peace negotiations in Afghanistan. And I would like to say that this regional consensus should be start from our own neighbor countries. The trip of Mr. Abdullah to Pakistan was the first attempt. I wish this will continue, and we will have an agreement on the peace negotiations of Afghanistan, that all the countries of South Asia will help and will assist Afghan government to reach
Thank you. Thank you so
to
much.
inclusive and transparent and real peace and positive peace. When I'm saying
Thank you.
positive
Thank you
peace,
so much.
it means that we don't want a political settlement. We want development. We want prosperity. And with these objectives, we obviously need the help of each and every South Asian country. Thank you very
Okay.
much
Thank you so
for
much.
providing this platform. Thank you very much
Thank you
for
so much.
having me, and I apologize for the weak connection. I couldn't communicate it in a proper way, but it was a pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Mr. Hossein Sharif, many questions have already stored. You will discuss, you will touch all these issues, but I will just give you another focal point. That is China a factor of stability in South Asia in post 9/11 era, mentioning her interest, challenges, economic and political impact? Mr. Sharif, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can
Yes,
hear
many
you.
questions have already stored. You will touch all the questions, but you'll also touch my one focal point, that is China a factor of stability in South Asia in post 9/11 era, mentioning her interest, challenges, economic and political impact.
Well, firstly, thank you. I can only speak for from our experiences. In the Maldives, China has no political interest. So let's get that out of the way. It is purely and entirely economic. And we've had very good experiences with interacting with China. In fact, our relations with China date way before 9/11 as well. And China, as well as all our neighbors and a lot of other countries, have played an integral part in making the Maldives just the third nation to rise from the LDC status to that of middle income. And for that, we are very grateful. So our relations with China is actually on in actual fact, it is entirely economic. Unfortunately, for political benefits, it's often projected out beyond our borders, in particular to our friends in India, that there is something to do, and this is domestic politics at its best. And all of you, being representatives of major political parties, would have faced similar misconceptions and misrepresentation. So China's relations with the Maldives at no point was it military, at no point was it political. It was purely an economic and commercial relationship. Unfortunately, based on these false narratives, the current government has, has heeded to uh, the concerns, or I would actually say paranoia, of our friends from India, who actually think that there was uh, an overt, or covert military or political influence in the Maldives by China, which was not the case. So this is something that we need to get over. So a friend from Pakistan did actually mention that they have no interest in being a superpower, but I assure you, our friends from India do. And while we would wish all our neighbors the very best, the concern for us, being the smallest in the region, is that these individual ambitions are actually leading to discomfort with us, the smaller neighbors. And India often uses terms such as backyard, sphere of influence. We would actually hope to sit across you and speak at a level of in mutual respect, admiration, where we can cooperate as equals rather than big brother and very small neighbor, across the water. So this has to change, and until and unless we do that, there will be very little goodwill for this sort of force feeding of different interventions in our country. And this is really what the people are talking about these days, 24/7. Unfortunately, there is military influence now, which is unwarranted, and also actually, in fact, not needed. We've been assuring our friends from India that we will not allow any military intervention from anybody, especially from a country outside our region. The Indian Ocean as we believe it, the it's the responsibility of those of us who are in the region. So while there should be no misunderstanding, unfortunately, that's why I brought up the issue of the media before as well. I hope my messages and those of my colleagues go out to Pakistan, to Bangladesh. Unfortunately, our friend from the BJP couldn't join. I was hoping that she would be there so that I can actually assure her that there is nothing to do in our relations with either China or anyone else. As you've rightly pointed out, we've had very good experiences in commercial dealings with these countries. They've all had a strong stake in bringing us this far. So it would not be fair for anybody to impose on the Maldives that we should only have relations with certain countries and shut the door in the face of others. That is something we do not believe in. We've always followed a foreign policy where we harbor very good relations, positive relations with everybody, but of course special relations with our
Thank you.
neighbors. Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Jubair.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Our Indian speaker, Miss Nitu Devash, she is very much a chick, and because of her physical emergence, she could not join with us, and she has apologized for her absence here. Thank you, honorable speakers, for joining in the conference. We have enjoyed an excellent discussion by the talented politicians. We are all promised to ensure a congenial atmosphere for our people, and because all our efforts as to politicians for the happiness of people. This session is very competent, and comments of the audiences are really appreciated. Good night, everyone.
Pleasure meeting you all, talking to you all. Bye. Khuda Hafiz.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. It was a great pleasure and honor. Honorable Amir, Honorable
Same
Hilal,
here.
Honorable Zubair, thank you.
जी सर
Please
इतना
stay
आला
in
पूरे
touch.
जी सर
Uh, it's a great pleasure and honor.
Thank you so much.